Bucks in 6. It's the chant which can be heard throughout all of Milwaukee, especially in the Deer District there. They were going hectic, the fans today, as they won with no Giannis. He's actually still out after hyperextending his knee. No Trae Young as well for the Hawks. He was cleared to go but decided not to play today. And the Bucks, well, they're very happy. They won this one 123 to 112 there, putting them up in Game 5 here. Now they lead 3-2. And really, the man who did it for them is Brook Lopez, looking even better than he did back in Brooklyn. If you remember back then, Brook Lopez used to play for Brooklyn, was one of the best players then. He dropped 33 points tonight with 7 boards, which is pretty good numbers for him. He's not really a great rebounder, but that is pretty good for him. And 33 points, and he was attacking the paint a lot more. We've seen in this series, he's been doing a lot of perimeter shooting, but this time he actually went inside. He was catching lobs, slamming it down. He looked like, I don't know, your typical big man, DeAndre Ayton style, attacking the paint there, Shaq, those sort of big men. And it was really working for them. As you can see, he had 33 points. He scored the most of anyone tonight. Although, it was a group contribution out there for the Bucks, and most of their starters ended up having over 20 points. Bobby Portis also was out there with 22 points, 8 rebounds and 3 assists. As we mentioned before, Brook Lopez with 33 points, 26 of those being in the paint. 26 for Chris Middleton, which is a lot better, and he also had 8 assists and 13 boards, which is the most of anybody in the game. That is amazing right there. As I said, Chris Middleton needs to step things up if the Milwaukee Bucks want to stay in this one, and both he and Drew Holiday did. Drew Holiday, 25 points, 13 assists and 6 boards, so both of them giving good minutes for the Bucks out there. Pat Connaughton knocking down some threes with 9, and Brian Forbes only had 3. But PJ Tucker, a more defensive-minded player, also was ripping down 11 boards and had 5 points, which is pretty nice. So, high scoring there for the Bucks. On the other end of things, there were a few high scorers for Atlanta, but not as many. The most notable being Bogdan Bogdanovic with 28. He also had 5 boards and 4 assists, which is pretty good. Also with Trae being out, Lemon Pepper Lou was back as a starter there, and he knocked down 17 points there for his team in 35 minutes. So he's definitely showing us all that the more minutes we give Lou Will, the more points he's going to knock down. So he could be a potential, if he doesn't stay with Atlanta, he could be a potential starting point guard if he chooses to. That could be pretty cool to see, actually. He also had 5 assists and 2 boards to go along with that. And, he'd be a great offensive initiator for, a team that needs a starting point guard there. Kevin Huerter, Red Velvet, had 8.7 assists and 3 boards, so not the best performance from him. But John Collins, a man who did struggle in the previous game, even though they won, only had 4 points last game, did do a lot better this time. He had 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 19 points in his 34 minutes of game time. A lot better there, but unfortunately not able to get it done. And the person most notably who we would have liked to have seen a few more points from is probably Clint Capella. His rebounding numbers, not where they usually would be. He only had 8 boards. And then he only had 1 assist and 6 points. If we remember the game they won last time, Clint Capella was out there, was catching a lot more lobs, scoring a lot more points. It seemed it just wasn't working out there for him tonight. But Danilo Gallinari was doing quite well. In his 23 minutes, he had 3 rebounds, 1 assist and 19 points. And the rest of the team doing quite well as well. Cam Reddish with 7 and Okongwu with 6. So overall, the Bucks did take this one, and it really is due to their points in the paint. They had 30 more points in the paint, with 66 to 36 there, which is an absolutely ridiculous stat. And if the Atlanta Hawks want to force a Game 7 here, they're really going to have to start defending that paint a bit more. And Clint Capella is going to have to lock in because he is their main defender. Now, in terms of turnovers, Atlanta also had way more, 8 to 14 there. And this created a lot of fast break opportunities for the Bucks, as they also had 11 steals to only 6 from the Hawks. So a lot of fast break buckets there for Milwaukee. Now the blocks were the same in terms of numbers, although the Bucks, it's good to see that they did have more assists this time around. As I've said in previous videos, we tend to see that the teams that win a lot do have a higher assist number. So the Atlanta Hawks here only had 24, whilst the Bucks ended up with 28, a lot higher than their last game where they only had 10 or something. It seems to be with Giannis off the floor too, they are sharing the ball a lot better. If we look at other potential championship teams, I should say, look at Phoenix Suns, who are also in the finals now. Their assist numbers are really good and their team chemistry is really good. So it's good to see that as well beginning to happen with the Bucks here. In terms of rebounds, they got a lot more, 47 to 40 out there. But really, as you would, scoring in the paint a lot, their field goal percentage was better as well, with 50% to the 45% of the Hawks. Their three-point percentage, not what you'd like to see actually, 9 from 29, only 31% there, while the Hawks did make 15 and 39.5%, which did keep them in the game for the most part, I do have to say. And that's something the Bucks will have to strengthen, especially for going up against tougher defensive teams like Phoenix if they do make it to the next round. But overall, a good performance by them. And as well, they're shooting once again at the free throw line. A little bit shocking, but they were getting there a lot more than the Hawks, considering they were attacking the paint so much. Only converted 72%, but did make 18, while the Hawks only made 15. So, the final score ended up being 123 to 112. Milwaukee Bucks winning this one with no Giannis in the game. We'll have to see if Trae Young decides to play next time at home. I think he will, to be honest, and I think it could flip everything around and possibly force a Game 7 for these Bucks here. Although both these teams being major underdogs, it's going to be interesting to see who comes out as the victor. We also have to remember that they are versing Phoenix, and Phoenix, there's been people who are already saying Phoenix Suns in 4. So could that possibly happen? We'll have to see. They obviously have been watching today's game and will be making the appropriate adjustments. But that is going to do it for the game today. The Bucks making some big improvements from last game, even though they did not have Giannis there. We'll have to see how the Hawks respond in Game 6. It's going to be a good one. But that is it for today's NBA news. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.